Good morning!
Why did you kill me off, Tim? So many people love the mini iPhone. Why couldn't you keep the 13 mini around for a lower price? You kept the 13 around for a lower price, and you did replace it with a smaller mini iPhone, and now it sounds like you're gonna get rid of the smaller iPhone SE and replace it with a bigger one. What is wrong with you?
We don't want smaller phones.
But some of us like smaller phones.
You want me to hit you again? We are not gonna make a smaller iPhone. 6.1 inches is small enough.
I remember when the biggest iPhone didn't even have a 6-inch display.
You're gonna wish that we made 6.1 inch iPhones. Ultra.
So obviously we didn't get an iPhone 15 Ultra, which there was talk that we might have, but if you go back and read the actual reports and went into the nitty-gritty details that Mark Gurman extrapolated on, he talks about the concept that Ultra was not meant to replace the Pro Max, which is a lot of what people thought might happen with the iPhone 15 line. We did not think we were gonna get 3 separate iPhones with 6.7-inch displays, right? It's already kind of crazy. We have a 15 Plus and a 15 Pro Max, but Gurman was saying that maybe in 2024, Apple could be ready to start going above the Pro Max. This is not meant to replace it. It is meant to be an addition. Just like how, if you look at the Apple Silicon lineup, you got M2 and M2 Pro and M2 Max, and then you go one step further, usually with some kind of doubling. I feel like that's a common trend here with the Ultra branding. The doubling of performance, the doubling of cores, 2 M2 Max chips stitched together. And in the case of the Apple Watch Ultra, we actually got double the battery life, which is honestly, if Apple is not interested in making smaller phones anymore, and I can't get my dream iPhone, I was really just hoping for an iPhone 15 mini. I definitely would have upgraded if they had one. But the market has spoken, right? We just have to accept that not enough people are buying smaller phones, and it seems like every single year the bestseller is usually the biggest and most expensive one. Even surprisingly, like the 14 Pro Max ended up being one of the best-selling iPhones of the year. Like, what? That everybody can justify spending that much money on their phone? If this is the way the consumer market is heading, like everybody's spending well over $1,000 on their phone, everybody's picking up a 15 Pro Max, probably even getting 512 gigs of storage, we are all basically encouraging Apple to do an Ultra. We're telling them, hey, you know what? I just want the best of the best phone. I'm gonna buy it no matter what. I need the best possible camera. Doesn't matter how insignificant that upgrade is. I want the best possible battery life. I want the highest quality materials. I want the fastest port. I want the brightest display. If all of these things keep incentivizing Apple to go more expensive and to go higher and higher, then maybe 2024 is the year Apple introduces a new tier of iPhone above Pro Max, which I know sounds a little ridiculous, but it's not that crazy considering how often they're already building Maxes and then Ultras to go above that maximum level. Kind of defeats the point of the terminology of Max, but essentially, if Apple's not gonna give us the smaller, cheaper phones we're asking for, then I'm gonna lean the other direction. Apple, alright, if we're all comfortable dropping this much money on our flagships, then just keep on going. Try to push the limits of what people are comfortable spending. I guess my brother Frankie would be grateful. And it reminds me of another phone I talked about earlier this year that actually got quite a lot of good impressions whenever I show it to people. The one Android still in this household, the Doogee S100 Pro. Not a sponsor or anything, but kind of a fascinating direction for smartphones to go in. People have been asking for years, I don't like the camera bump, why don't you just make the whole back thicker, increase the battery capacity of the phone? Well, a lot of people would be against that because it would eat into the portability and the thinness, but some people, people who use Doogee phones, they don't give a crap. They don't care at all. They're just like, you know what? Go big or go home. This is an Android phone that I've gotten to last like multiple weeks between charges because it's a 20,000 milliamp hour capacity. This is like 4 or 5 times greater than your iPhone battery capacity, and if you coupled extreme thickness and you got rid of the camera bump and just drastically increased the milliamp hours on the inside, I bet a lot of people, even if it is the heaviest iPhone ever, even if it is way thicker and way less comfortable to hold with one hand, there's still some people out there that use their phones enough, they would be comfortable making that giant jump, and they'd probably be willing to pay a premium for it. I'm not saying the iPhone Ultra needs 20,000 milliamp hours, but even with like 10,000, couple that with Apple's 3nm chip being far more efficient next year, the A18 Pro, they'd probably still be able to get well over double the battery life than what you're currently getting on your 15 Pros. And that's just if they were keeping the cameras the same. You know, every year Apple's kind of limited towards how much better can the camera sensors and the lenses get on our iPhones. Whereas I think if they just went all the way and said, heck, let's just stop caring about the portability. Let's make a phone that is all focused on functionality and utility, and we don't care too much about how it looks, and we don't care about how thin and light it is. How much better could you make the camera sensors? You know, how much more light could you let in with a larger lens suite, because you don't have to be cramming it in to a super thin, super portable device. Now you could turn it into more of a brick, you know, part smartphone, part weapon. I guess it's a smart weapon when you think about it. The kind of phone that makes you not want to do a drop test because you're concerned about the durability of the floor you're dropping it on. That's what this phone has done for the Android space, and I honestly think more people would be interested in this than Apple making a foldable iPhone, which is the other direction you could go if you're willing to make an iPhone that's going to cost like $2,000 or something. Sure, it's not for everyday people, and not that many people are going to buy it, but I don't know, every year it feels like more and more people just keep opting for the Pro Max, and we're all telling Apple that just give me the best of the best. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how big it is. I just want the best of the best phone. So just keep on going. Bigger battery with more of a thermal envelope to work with could also result in a brighter display that can stay brighter for longer, and a bigger emphasis on utility, like the Apple Watch Ultra could involve having more customizable buttons, just like this Doogie phone does, which there's actually already some leaks pointing to happening. Like, we got the action button replacing the ringer switch, but the iPhone 16 is getting rumored an additional capacitive button that might just be for capturing photos and videos, like a dedicated camera button, basically. Kind of like what Apple did with the iPhone 11 smart battery cases. But yeah, I feel like the marketing surrounding this one would be a bit more of a go big or go home. There's some people out there that are using these iPhones for work, or they're not even necessarily rocking their Sims in them. They're just using them as video cameras for their job, or some people are traveling with their iPhone and need as much space as possible and as much battery capacity as possible. So maybe those rumors we heard about a 2 terabyte iPhone might be a little bit crazy on our regular everyday 15 and 15 Pro, but maybe on something like an iPhone Ultra, someone who's willing to go all out with the smartphone purchase, 2 terabytes may start to make a little bit of sense. And while I may lose some of you on this one, I'm willing to stretch it a little bit more. With this additional mass and room for circuitry, you might even be capable of putting a chip in it that's above an A series chip. I'm not suggesting an M2 Pro or an M2 Max or something like that, but you know, maybe with some efficiency gains you could fit a binned M3 chip, okay? It's not fully unlocked because it'll probably take too much power, but can you imagine for a second? I mean, Apple is already differentiating between iPhone models based on, like, okay, the Pro gets the A17 chip and the non-Pro gets the A16 chip. If they take this trend further and say we need to go bigger, we need to make it better, then maybe the iPhone Ultra could be rocking an M series chip, and that allows it via Thunderbolt port, not just USB 3, to straight up boot into macOS when plugged into an external monitor, or even take some notes from some of those gaming Android phones out there and rock not just 1, but 2 USB-C ports. If Apple continues to upsell people on, hey, USB-C can be used for all these great things, you can power the phone and you can write to external SSDs, or maybe, of course, more features are unlocked with external monitors, so perhaps having additional input methods could allow it to be more of a tool, let you power the device while also outputting to an external monitor, or writing to an external SSD. We already have these big dongles and big adapters that people are plugging into their USB-C iPhone and turning them into little portable video game consoles for the big screen. Again, the running theme here is go big or go home. If this is what the market is demanding every year, we just keep buying the best of the best, and that continues to be the model that everybody keeps opting for, then Apple's gonna see those numbers, see those financials, and say, okay, the market wants us to continue. They want us to upgrade it further and maybe make a more brutalist, utility-focused iPhone that is not thin by any means. It is not trying to be lightweight and portable, and that might even convince a few people out there that, you know what, actually, that's a little bit too crazy for me. I'm just gonna stick with the 16 Pro that's capable enough for me, and with the rumors that the 16 Pro is making the jump to a 6.3-inch display, and the 16 Pro Max is making the jump to a 6.9-inch display, maybe you just go all the way with the iPhone Ultra. Give it a 7-inch display. Of course it's 120 Hz. Frick it. Make it 144 Hz for all I care, and it can go up to, you know, 3000 nits brightness, just just like the Apple Watch Ultra does. And with that new lineup of crazy big Pro iPhones and crazy heavy, crazy thick Ultra iPhones, then you might as well just look at the regular iPhone 16 as the mini, because that one is not rumored to get screen size improvements. It's going to be sticking at 6.1 inches. So I guess mini, which is what a lot of us still wanted, might become relative, as in like, well, there was a time when mini iPhone meant 5.4 inches, but in the future, with all these crazy cameras and crazy long battery lives that we want and expect out of our smartphones, maybe 6.1 inches will start to feel like the small one, because everybody's opting for 6.7 inches to 7-inch smartphones. Every year they seem to keep getting bigger, and the companies are going to keep making them bigger and more expensive as long as we keep buying them. And if I can't convince you to keep on buying them, then yeah, I guess that's my wish list for the 2024 iPhone lineup. Go Ultra, because just making slightly bigger screens and slightly better cameras isn't probably going to be as exciting as entering a new iPhone tier that was not previously available. But what do you guys think? Is this getting too crazy for you? Are you still in favor of iPhones, you know, fitting in your pocket, or are you okay with smart weapons taking off in the future? It unlocks your car, you can check your email, take some amazing pictures and videos, and if someone tries to mess with you, you can bash their head in, because this phone is so crazy heavy. All your thoughts, put them down in the comments down there, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.